And now on the line is Sheila Gilheany, the CEO of Alcohol Action Ireland. Sheila, welcome back to Near FM.
Thanks very much, Darren. Glad to be here.
Okay, Sheila, we are recording this interview on Friday, the 6th of January, and I know that on Wednesday, the 5th, just a couple of days ago, yourselves and Alcohol Action Ireland released a press release on a very important matter, and I saw that you got some national media coverage on the issue. The matter in question relates to the Public Health Alcohol Act 2018. Can you tell our listeners today on Near FM, Sheila, about why Alcohol Action Ireland are in the news this week?
Well, what we have been calling for is the implementation of a really important measure within the Public Health Alcohol Act, and that is the broadcast watershed for alcohol ads. So basically, within the Act, which was passed in 2018, there's a provision there that says that alcohol ads should not be broadcast, should not be shown on TV or broadcast on radio before 9 p.m. And here we are, 4 years on from the Act. It still hasn't been implemented, and there's been many questions asked about this. Why is the delay? And we're told that there's a need for consultation between the Department of Health and the BAI and the department as the excuse me, a number of different parties. So, for example, the HSE Environmental Service as well. And the reason for all this consultation is that, according to the Department of Health, there is a need to make sure that when the measure is implemented, that it will be properly monitored. Now, I accept, of course, that is important. Obviously, we need to have good monitoring of any legal provision, but 4 years on from the act having been passed, gone through all the discussion in the Oireachtas, to still not have this really important measure implemented, to me just seems inexplicable. And the reason that we are so concerned about it is that we know that exposure to alcohol advertising and to marketing in all its forms is a very strong driver for people, for young people, firstly, to start to drink, and if they're already drinking, to drink even more. We know that something like about 50,000 children every year will start to drink. And we know that particularly for people who would start to drink at a young age, they're even more likely to develop a problem with alcohol. And this is very evident in Ireland, because if you look at the figures for people aged in the age group of 15 to 24 years, we would see that there's a prevalence of 37% of people who drink in that age group would have an alcohol use disorder. So we have all the evidence that's pointing to, a real problem with alcohol in this country. And one of the things that really could make a difference is if we reduce the amount of marketing and the amount of advertising that we would see. And we're just saying, why isn't this really important measure? Why has it not yet been implemented?
Okay, and is this issue solely like your organisation calling on the government or Minister of Health to implement, or do you have any support from any other organisations and individuals in Ireland?
Well, we know certainly from polling data that the public are absolutely behind this. Something like we did some polling on this last year, and 70% of those polled, said they were firmly in favour of this particular measure being introduced straight away. And I think if you ask anybody, like nobody could actually argue that it is a good thing for children to be watching alcohol advertisements. And we know that they are. There is data from the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland report published last year, which indicates that Diageo is the number 4 advertiser to children aged 4 to 17 years. Now, I think that just speaks for itself. We have all the evidence. Children are seeing multiple ads for alcohol. They're very familiar with the brands that are out there. They are starting to drink earlier. They're developing problems at a young age. And whose benefit is all of this? Certainly not public health, certainly not the health of our children.
Okay, I've shared a couple of times on community radio over the years without going into too much detail, but I had an alcohol use disorder and I am 12 years off alcohol now, but I found even before I developed a problem with alcohol that the alcohol advertising ads on television were or are very appealing, encouraging
Yeah.
people to drink alcohol. And for me, it wasn't like I see an alcohol ad on television and I immediately go out to buy alcohol. But I do believe for a lot of people that they are very effective. I would imagine that there has been research done on how effective alcohol advertising is. Has there, Sheila?
There's actually been multiple studies on this, and all of them point to, that they're more likely, the more exposure you have to alcohol advertising, the more likely you are to drink. And it's kind of dose dependent. Like literally, the more you see, the more you're likely to drink, the more you're, and likely to drink at harmful levels. So, we have all the evidence. There really is no more discussion needed on this. What is needed is action, and action, to actually bring this measure. It's a very straightforward, very simple measure into play, and let's just do it. We don't need to be waiting about any longer.
Okay, in a big way, I believe it's incredible that we have in Ireland managed as a state to bring in the Public Health Alcohol Act, bearing in mind how pervasive alcohol and how big the alcohol industry is in Ireland. Okay, Sheila, do you have any indications that the Minister for Health, Stephen Donnelly, and Minister of State for this area, Hildegard Naughton, are going to do what you want in alcohol advertising anytime soon?
Well, they were asked about this yesterday, actually, by RTE on Drive Time, and they did issue a statement saying, that they would implement it as soon as this consultation phase was over. But that there's no time frame has been given for that, which to me is very disappointing. Well, I really appreciate getting a chance to say it. And what I would say to your listeners is, if this is something you feel strongly about, perhaps you'd contact your local, TDs, representatives, and ask them to ask Stephen Donnelly, why are we waiting so long?